Dear teacher, I came to school one morning because I had a presentation, a group presentation where we were presenting individually but we were being graded as a group. And that day when I stood up and I did my presentation, I made a mistake within the presentation that I didn't know how to fix. And instead of correcting me or telling me, how I could have changed it, you proceeded to berate me in front of the entire class. And I don't know what possessed you to do that. I don't know if you were having some personal issues at home, but what you said sticks with me to this day. The fact that you would tell me that I'm incompetent, that I wouldn't amount to anything in the industry, and things like that. It's definitely something that someone would carry away with them, and that's exactly what I did. And when you were done with your 10-minute tirade, you asked the class if you showed them how to correct this mistake. When everyone said no, you did not apologize. You just told me to go sit down. And I did. I sat down wordlessly. I didn't say anything. I didn't even react, but what you didn't know was that day I was in mourning. The previous night, a close family friend was killed, and it hit us pretty hard, but I still came to class because I didn't want to let my teammates down. And when I did, and you put me through that, it was hard. Because now I had to pull myself together in class when all I wanted to do was break down. All I wanted to do was run out of the classroom and just cry. When our first break came through, I left. I refused to go to any other classes. I refused to finish that class. I had to keep a straight face for 40 minutes on the train when all I wanted to do was cry. The tears were literally threatening to escape. I had to completely find something to distract myself. And when I finally got to the station, I had to walk 15 minutes to my house. And even then, I was trying not to cry because I don't want anyone else to see me cry. I don't want anyone to see me cry. All I wanted to do was get to my room, lock myself in, and just cry because it was overwhelming. My feelings were overwhelming and I felt like I was going to explode. When I got home, I barely made it through the front door. I saw Dad and all I wanted to say was hi and then just leave. But before I could even get a word out, I just broke down. I just started bawling. I couldn't breathe from how hard I was crying. And Dad was confused. He didn't know what happened. He obviously was thinking the worst, as every parent does. And all he could do was hold me as I cried and cried. And by the end of it, when he asked me what was wrong, I told him I didn't know. I truly didn't know, because sure, I was mourning, but so was everyone else, and I've never broken down like that because of someone's passing. But what you did humiliated me in front of my classmates at my most vulnerable time. That's what it was. And I didn't know it then, but it took me a while to think about it and analyze what it was that made me feel that low and that pathetic basically, because you made me feel like I wasn't going to be good enough to do anything. I was lucky that I have family here and that I have people who will rally behind me and people who believe that I can be so much. But if I was in a foreign country, or say this wasn't my home, and I came to study and that was what you put me through, I don't know what would have happened, because I would have been alone, and maybe I probably would have dropped out, definitely. I would have fed myself the same things that you told me, the same negative things, that I wasn't good enough, that I should just give up, that I'm never going to be good enough for anything or anyone. And I'm glad that I broke down in front of my dad, because then my mum came and I had family and I had support, and I was happy that I had them beside me. But I'm just grateful that they were here and that I wasn't alone. And I just wanted to talk about this because there are teachers who think telling a student off in front of everyone is a way to get them to work harder, or, you know, to not repeat the same mistake. But all you've done was little by little destroy that child's self-esteem. My teacher definitely destroyed my self-esteem that day. And I just want to urge all the other teachers that if you want results, that isn't going to get you results. All that did was I didn't go to any more classes, that particular class, for the rest of the year. I did the homework, but I refused to go to the classes because I couldn't face the teacher again. I couldn't, because how could I? Everything that I would do, I doubted myself. Everything I did, I doubted myself. And I refused to see the face of my doubt, which was the teacher, every time. And just to be on edge, that when will they yell at me again? And what are they going to say this time? What more can they take from me? Because they've already destroyed my self-esteem. And it took a while to build back up. This story has always been hard for me to tell because I use it in my speaking, when I do speaking engagements, because it's not, I talk about bullying and that sort of thing where I was bullied as a kid by other kids, but I use this as an example to show that teachers can be bullies as well, that they can use their position to bully children. And when it happens, no one recognizes it because it's just, a teacher telling off a student, but sometimes you can see when it gets personal. And I think it got personal with this teacher. And even though it's been years, I still have such a hard time telling it because I go back to that point and I feel it. I feel the vulnerability that I felt that they took advantage of. And the first time I told the story in front of a crowd, I had to try and not cry because it was actually really hard. But I think as I tell it more and more, it gets a little easier because I guess it's something that I haven't talked about, even though I know how I felt. And I told my family and we talked about it, but I never talked about it with anyone else. So bringing it out there is opening some old wounds. But I think those wounds were just kind of band-aided over they weren't properly healed. So I think this is going to heal it. And I just wanted this story to reach other teachers. Hopefully they'll see that this isn't the way to go. Hopefully they'll call out other teachers who do this kind of thing, and hopefully it'll help at least a little bit, you know? So yeah, that was a bit heavy, but I really did want to talk about it because it's something that's been on my mind for a while. I didn't know how I was going to approach it. I just thought a real sit down and just talk into the camera. No, I wrote it down, but it didn't feel authentic, so I just said what was on my mind and what I felt then. And I don't know if you can hear it, but my voice is breaking a little bit because it's actually really, it's really emotional for me. It really is. And I don't get emotional about a lot of things. And I mean, I can talk about, you know, being bullied as a kid, and it's just, you know, that's what happened. But this was different for me. I don't know how, but this was very different for me, especially because it was with an authority figure that you're supposed to trust, that to lead you, to guide you to where you wanted to go in life, and they kind of just tell you that you're not good enough, and it's sad, it hurts. So yeah, I hope this helps, and I don't know what's going to come out of it, and I'm not trying to, you know, slam anyone for anything, but I wanted to tell my story. So thank you for listening. Please like and subscribe. It would mean a lot to me, and I'll see you in the next video.